Hello there, Commonwealth Rome here. Animal Crossing New Horizons, behind Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, the best-selling Nintendo Switch game of all time. And if we only count brand new titles, the best-selling Nintendo Switch game of all time. That statement alone isn't shocking, considering the amount of more casual-oriented players in the market today. In addition, there's a subset of Nintendo fans who are deeply in love with the series. As why wouldn't you be? The calming charm, participating in sweet little tasks and interacting with your villagers in a way you see fit. For a game this successful and loved, you have to wonder why so little support was given over the last 7 months. Ever since the Super Mario update early in 2021, the company kind of let New Horizons fly under the radar. Luckily, there was a good reason for it, as we got our answer recently with the huge 2.0 update plus a big expansion called Happy Home Paradise. Now that we've had some time to play around with it, is it everything we hoped for? In many ways, yes, even if there were some elements left untouched, and also a few technical problems. So let's go brutally honest into it, but first be sure to press that like and subscribe button, plus notification bell to not miss any of our upcoming brutally honest reviews. And yes, just like with the launch review, we are joined by Leo.
Let's first talk about the little things that don't really get enough attention, the quality of life improvements. Our favorite change is that you can finally now store DIY recipes in your storage. For the longest time, this just wasn't possible, making it impossible to hold on to them for friends and family. You would be forced to store them in your basement or simply sell them to Nook's Cranny. That is now a thing of the past, allowing you much more freedom to do what you want with said recipes. Another improvement happens when you boot the game for the first time that day. Isabelle will tell you which traveling merchant is now roaming around in your town. Some might find the surprise more enticing, but for us it gives a better chance to plan our day in the game ahead. Lastly, for the creatives, there are now more design slots, allowing you to post and store up to 200 custom designs. This is incredibly useful for multi-slot projects that will transform your entire island. Next to all of this, you can now place permanent ladders and put up more bridges and inclines that give your place more life and access. On the flip side, not every problem has been tackled in Animal Crossing 2.0. For us, the biggest problem is that the update didn't introduce a new upgrade for Nook's Cranny. The previous game had multiple upgrades, and New Horizons was stuck for the longest time with just one. Sadly, Nintendo has opted to not improve with the 2.0 version, putting a halt on what is purchasable every day. Another thing that would have been nice is making multiple copies of the same DIY item at once, something that would have improved certain aspects of the workflow. Speaking of items, the update doesn't address the longevity of recurring in-game events, like the tourneys or the wedding season in June next year. If this is truly the last big update for the game, how long does Nintendo expect us to still play? Once you've seen most of the features and items, your interest will almost certainly dwindle.
In any case, let us focus on what makes the basic 2.0 update so incredible as a swan song. Right from the get-go, the barrage of new stuff in the Nook Stop is almost overwhelming. For starters, we've gotten a lot of mileage out of the new Camera Pro app, which gives you more options than ever before. There are new filters, but that isn't what we should be focusing on. Instead, the handheld camera function gives you a new first-person perspective that allows you to picture elements in the game like never before. From museum items to objects in your house, there's so much you can do and see that you couldn't before. Another important object to get right away is the Pro Decorating license, which enables you to hang stuff from the ceiling and create new accent walls, giving you more tools for your home. If DIY is more your style, then the new Cooking license will fit your appetite. By purchasing this, a new world of DIY recipes will open up. After purchasing it, you can get a set of recipes at Nook's Cranny and collect more by opening bottles and interacting with villagers. Better yet, fishing certain creatures will grant you more recipes as well. That being said, get ready to put more work into your DIYs than ever before, since most of these recipes require adaptly named produce, which includes pumpkins, tomatoes, weeds and so much more. By growing them across your island, you will be able to master everything these recipes can give you, everything from simple french fries to entire meals. A large variety of options will enable you to get the most of this new experience.
There is a lot on offer simply from this one Nook Stop location. We haven't even mentioned the brand new redeemable items, hairstyles, emotes, and new fencing lessons. If you can imagine how much there is here, what about Nook's Cranny and the Able sisters? The first report seemed to indicate that the 2.0 version has added over 9,000 items to Animal Crossing New Horizons. This means that checking in from time to time, you will get new things to improve your general way of life or change up the way your house looks. Speaking of which, the outside of your house can now be improved with new options, simply by going to Resident Services. It is also here that you can expand your storage up to 5,000 items as well as enact ordinances. These ordinances cost 20,000 bells each and ensure that the island changes its day-to-day cycle. From a beautiful island without weeds to an island with incredible riches, your world is yours for the making. Whilst these improvements are nice, the big question you likely have is, what can you do that you couldn't do before? The one thing that everybody has been waiting for is, obviously, the Roost Cafe. By performing a simple quest, the cafe will be built over the course of 2 days. Once available, you can visit Brewster daily for a freshly brewed cup of joe and even eventually get takeout coffee. You can also invite any villager and special character to drink coffee with them and have unique dialogue that can't be found anywhere else. Another new element introduced is the brand new cabin boat tour, where you can take a travel to a new set of mystery islands. What is new here compared to the old offerings is that the islands will have different times of day as well as different seasons and special produce. It is super fun to be delighted and surprised with all of these new islands and the mystery they have to offer. The final element of the Basic 2.0 update is Harvey's Island, which has seen a huge makeover. There is a brand new island hub that offers 7 different stores which you have to build up one by one.
From this hub you have quick access to buying shoes from Kix, plants from Life, and the list goes on. The hub has even some exclusive features that sees the return of Reese and Cyrus. Our personal favorite is that you, with Reese and Cyrus, customize items that you couldn't before. It costs quite a chunk of change, but for people who need color-coded items in the town, this option is really fantastic. Now, let us discuss the paid portion of this new content, Happy Home Paradise, the downloadable content which can either be purchased or rented as part of NSO Expansion Pack subscription. No matter how you purchase the content, the fact remains that it's quite packed. The players will travel to a brand new archipelago where a series of islands await. Upon those islands, you will build a variety of vacation homes for well over 400 villages, each with their own specific requests. You'll work together with Paradise Planning to interact with those villages, scout for locations, and give them a home they will adore. Like we said, every villager has their own requests, making the variety you build equally massive. It is basically Happy Home Designer, but with all the knowledge from New Horizons applied to it, plus some extras.
The result is quite an entertaining gameplay loop where your creativity is the true limitation. You can build up gardens and different sized rooms the way you like, with only a few required items needed to get your work flagged as fine. So in that sense, Happy Home Paradise doesn't give you a ton of feedback to work with. You're basically down to following your gut feeling and making sure all the pieces tick in general. For some, this will be discouraging, particularly when later tackling the special characters. When you scan those in for amiibo cards or figures, they won't have any required items to speak of, leaving you completely down to your own ideals. That being said, we relished in figuring out what worked for us, which meant playing around with every tool imaginable. The garden tools and lighting already gave us so many variables to play with. Besides, it's not like you won't be rewarded at all. Along the way, more features will become available to the player. Everything starts out light with more furniture, soundscapes, and the ability to give everything a unique shine. As you proceed, partition walls and counters will end up in your hands and can be brought back to your own island. You will also be able to change the houses of your inhabitants and give them complete overhauls to your own liking. The big thing is that you can also build facilities, which will give you neat trinkets for entering them every once in a while. You'll even be able to purchase unique clothing and food items that you can't get anywhere else. One of the best things about Happy Home Paradise is, frankly, the surprises. Every day after logging back in, some additional dialogue will trigger. This means that Nico will give you a brand new DIY recipe, giving you more love for participating. Another thing is that guest teachers can also appear in the school, opening up special features that can only be unlocked through this particular fashion. Players are rewarded for coming back, making a few homes and feeling completely satisfied thereafter. To that point, it isn't really recommended that you rush through the adventure and get it done as soon as possible.
There is a breadth and depth to the proceedings that can't be understated. By taking it slow, you can also take full advantage of the Paradise Planning Store, which offers 5 brand new items every single day. Just like Nook's Cranny, these items vary daily, allowing you to see more new content quite a bit quicker. Overall though, with the massive update and the new DLC, Animal Crossing New Horizons has quite a bit of content to dive into. Players who don't use time-traveling trickery are just getting started, while those who do aren't even close to seeing everything. The update showcases the best of what Animal Crossing has to offer, and combines with sleek additions that feel long overdue. Naturally, not everything has been fixed with the version 2.0 update, and there are a number of technical issues that Nintendo will have to return back to fix in later smaller technical updates, since well, the content updates are now done. But seeing the diversity of all the content added through this update and DLC, it is rather foolish to imagine that they will go and alter those elements. It goes without saying, the amount of content here is rather impressive, particularly when you account for the Happy Home Paradise DLC. This content is simply spectacular, with more variety than Happy Home Designer ever had. The options for the gardens are tremendous, the extras for the home are nice, and the dialogue in general must be read to be believed. Nintendo has done very well to please the fanbase, though the longevity concerns stay as a blimp in the back of the mind. So with all that being said, our final score for Animal Crossing New Horizons 2.0 update and Happy Home Paradise DLC is... It nearly feels like a new game, but the big question remains for how long this will last now that Nintendo has announced that there will be no more free content updates or paid DLC expansions for Animal Crossing New Horizons. This is obviously concerning, as Animal Crossing is a franchise that should be updated regularly with content over many years. While here, Nintendo stops adding new content well under 2 years after its March 20, 2020 release. But what do you think about all of this, and do you think that Animal Crossing New Horizons is ending too soon compared to say New Leaf? Sound off in the comment section down below. If you haven't already, please be sure to leave a like to make this video more visible, and if you really enjoyed it, then press that subscribe button and notification bell with all notifications on to not miss any of our Nintendo Switch Brutally Honest reviews. Finally, a big thanks goes to all our patreon.com/CommonRoll patrons, and in particular to royal producer Charles Shash. You rock, and please enjoy one or both of these two awesome videos.